Greetings from YouTubeville. Once again, Danny Savage, Draft Guru. Like, sub, and subscribe. It don't cost a dime. Let's get this mic straight. Still the best beard on YouTube. Ah, today's topic is going to be teams that are headed the wrong way. I really don't want, we've only had 2 weeks. I really don't want to bash players yet and put bad tags on players yet because it's simply not fair, especially after only 2 weeks, especially when you have 4 or 5 years of tape on some people. It's just not fair to bash people this early. And the people that you see bashing these young college kids, people that never played the sport, they just work for these companies and they sit behind their desk and they never played a sport in their life, and they're bashing these young kids just because they had two bad games maybe or one bad game. Could be a million reasons. Could be nicked with an injury. Could be personal problems at home. Could, girlfriend could have got knocked out. So we will get to that at some point of the season, but mostly the last 2 weeks I've put out rises. But the team's going the wrong way. We got to start off with Notre Dame. And I hyped up their defensive line big time, man. You got three legit monsters. You got two legit D tackles and a legit DN from Duke, a transfer. And I did videos on these guys in the summertime. You got a good tight end, you got a good corner. But losing to Northern Illinois this past Saturday, that's probably the worst loss in the history of Notre Dame. The coach should have been fired that night. In my opinion, he should have been fired last year when they had the close game with Ohio State and they were up. So now I know I'm not reinventing the wheel, but if you look at last year's Ohio State game, if they could have killed the clock with the last 2 minutes left in the game, they would have won that game. You had the Audric Estime, who was a bulldozer, and you're passing the ball. And every incompletion, clock just stopped. And then you gave the ball back to Ohio State, and boom, you could have beat Ohio State last year. I personally would have fired your coach last year at that game. I don't think he's the answer. And let's be honest, man. I'm sure every single kid that's on Northern Illinois, you got to realize, I guarantee you, Notre Dame did not look at one single player on Northern Illinois. But in ways that works against you is these kids come in with a chip on their shoulders because they feel like they got slighted. So they got a little bit extra to play for. They got a little little extra oomph in them. You got a new quarterback. Is he the answer? I don't know. But at what point do you fire this coach? Because honestly, with this loss, I don't see you getting into the college. I don't see you getting into the playoffs. I don't. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. But your coach should have been fired that night. I don't think he's the future of Notre Dame. That's my opinion there. Next is a team, and it's really not their fault, but is Michigan. Even though they're 1-1, but I don't think they can recover mentally from that loss that Texas put on them. And the crazy part is Michigan's defense is ridiculous. Ridiculous. You got Mason Graham. He's a top 5 defensive tackle. Top 5 overall pick. Kenneth Gant. He's a late first rounder, early second. You got Moore on the D line. Problem is, you got no quarterback. You lost your entire offensive line. You lost, Trevor Keegan, straight goon. He was in my top 10 list last year. Zach Zinter was my number 1 guard. I don't care he broke his leg against Ohio State late this season. I got a red shirt him, I red shirt him. He went in the 3rd round, getting the number 1 rated guard in round 3. Yeah, Cleveland Browns took him, I believe. I don't care if I got a red shirt him, I'll red shirt him. That's a steal. Getting the number 1 rated guard in round 3. You lost monsters. You lost and you guys played a lot of heavy formations last year. So you had 7, 8, 9 offensive linemen you lost. You lost Blake Corum. You lost Wilson, the wide receiver. So when you lose 10 starters on offense, all you brought back is Colston Loveland, the tight end, who he has a future. I like him. He's talented in the NFL. But one thing I found weird about Donovan Edwards was, and you guys can comment if I'm wrong or not, during the regular season last year, he looked horrible. Horrible. Last year, it was the Blake Corum show. But when he got his chances, he legit looked like a fullback, like he was running in sand. Granted, college playoff start. He looks like a different person. Completely different person. He had speed all of a sudden. Was he banged up and they weren't telling us about it? Was there something going on? We all know colleges are not forthcoming with injuries. But the college playoff started, and all of a sudden, he looks like he's flying around. He's making cuts. So my question was, before the season started, which Donovan Edwards are we going to see? And I think we know what Donovan Edwards was saying. I don't want to rag on him because it's only 2 games and it's not fair to do that to kids after 2 games, especially when you lost your top 7, 8 offensive linemen. So that's just not fair. but he's in a bad situation there, let's just say. And I don't think anyone expected Texas to go in there and do what they did. And I'm not even a Texas fan. I'm not. I'm truly not. But Texas does have the best offensive line in the NFL, excuse me, in college football. And I said that. And I said Michigan has pretty much the best defensive line, I thought, in college football. It's just when your offense can't move the ball and you're on the field all day, I don't care who you are, man, you're going to wear down. So is the Sharon Moore over his chance? No, absolutely. I think he's a good coach. I truly do. I just think you guys had so much turnover on offense, it set you back this year. That's all I'm saying. But you guys have sick defense. Sick defense. But we all know there's only going to be a certain amount of teams per division that are going to make the collegiate playoffs. So, next one, we'll close it out with quick. Florida State. I don't know who's in there. Perfect example of, someone said it best the other night. When you get to be a coach in college, in the NFL, it's pretty much like the coaching mafia. Like once you're in, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, you get chance after chance after chance. I honestly don't know how anyone could have sat in a room and said, oh, yeah, DJ Ungula, he's a great quarterback. Let's give him a scholarship and an NIL deal. And these dudes are making bags of money from Florida State. I've said from day one, from his days at Clemson, horrible. Dude's built like a tight end, man. It's like, I don't see it. They're shot. They're shot in their division. He just doesn't have it. They do have a good running back, Roydell Williams. He's good. You got a couple of defensive linemen that are underperforming, but once again, it's a little bit frustrating, especially early in the year when you're on the field. You wear down when your offense just can't move the ball. And he is horrible. And I just don't understand how the college pays a scout to go look at him. And then you get the scouts and the coaches in the same room. And they hit the transfer portal and they're like, yeah, I think this is a good idea. Let's get him. Granted, you guys did have turnover from last year. You shouldn't be looking the way you are now. Absolutely not. So I wanted to do this video more about teams than players because I don't think it's fair to just, it's really 3 weeks, but it's really 2 because 0 week, only a few teams played. But a kid like him, and one of the reasons I called him out is he's been horrible since he stepped on the field at Clemson. And he's been playing ball like 4 years already. So we have seen the ceiling on him. So these are, I gave you three teams that I see trending down real, real fast. Once again, when you're rocking with the GWO, it's for life. Tomorrow, I will be dropping a video at 10 a.m. It's it'll be a short video, nothing crazy, just for games to look out for and players to look out for. So that'll be for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Players to just keep your eye out. So when you're sitting on the couch and you're watching a game, you're like, "Bro, I heard of that kid. I heard of that guy." And also that transformed into the NFL. I've already dropped also 200. I'm probably over already 260 players that I've dropped already and spoken about and did breakdowns on. So we're over 260 already. So it also makes, in my opinion, games more funner. That's my 2 cents. That's where the scouting part comes in. But it's Friday the 13th. Whew. Be safe, everybody. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. See you tomorrow. Over and out.